Hi, guys. It's a daily dose of hope. Another beautiful day here in Georgia. It's a Tuesday. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It's hard to believe it's a Tuesday.
Should call him boss. How you doing, boss?
I'm good. I'm good. You call me whatever you want.
Right. Well, it's really good.
Within reason.
It's so much better to have you here than to be flying solo. And we're talking this week about a real important subject. We're talking about relapse and what that means to our recovery and how we should handle that. And today, we want to talk about avoiding self-deception. There's a verse in Luke chapter 15, verse 21, a famous story of the prodigal son, where he says, the son says to the father, "I've sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." It was a real honest view of himself. Talk about avoiding self-deception.
Yeah, because the reality was that wasn't true. He still was worthy of being called the son. He still was deeply loved by his father. His father had just got through running out to meet him. So what he said to himself was a true thought, but it was not true in reality. And that's, to me, where self-deception hits us, Bill. We think all sorts of junk that isn't accurate or isn't true. And we lie to ourselves and we deceive ourselves. So, for instance, we slip or we relapse and we tell ourselves, my whole recovery's done now. None of my progress mattered. See, I knew I couldn't do that. Those are all things that are not true. Just like his statement, "I'm no longer worthy to be called your son," that is not a true statement. And if we could see the whole thing play out specifically, the father even ends up saying, "That's not true. You are worthy. Bring the fatted calf, bring the robes, bring the ring. You are absolutely worthy of still being called my son." Self-deception always comes when there's sin and when there's temptation and when there's relapse. And we've got to be careful that we don't get sucked into this believing what's not true about ourselves.
So there's this dichotomy here that I'm seeing, that there's a truth to the fact that his humility was honorable in that he realized the weight of his sin. But if he had stayed there and didn't and believed the lie, that could turn into other bad things. So you're saying the humility was admirable, but don't live there. And that...
Read that again real quick. Read that again.
"I've sinned against heaven and in your sight." That's true. "I am no longer worthy to be called your son." That's not true.
That's correct. So see, right there, he's saying one thing that's true. Yes, you have sinned. Yes, you have taken advantage of your father.
He's owning that.
Yes, you have hurt your father. Yes, you have... he had made a huge, huge mess and hurt lots of people.
Yeah.
All true. But then he let that truthful statement take him to an untruthful statement that was really... Now he was letting his actions define him. These are my actions. I have sinned against you. I have sinned against heaven. I have done what's wrong. Okay, that's your actions. But now all of a sudden he's letting that define him. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. That's not true.
And that's a problem.
That's a lie. He's deceiving himself. And here's the thing, Bill. Self-deception always leads to more junk.
Yeah.
Self-deception is going to lead to more shame, and more shame is going to lead to more acting out.
Well, the good news for the younger son, if you read the context of the story and take it from here, the father says, "Get him a ring, get him a robe." And there's no sense in the story that he refuses that stuff. He gets up and goes. And so he believes the truth and moves forward.
Exactly, which is what we have to do. When you slip or when you relapse, you cannot let it define you. You cannot begin to tell yourselves lies. You cannot tell yourself, my progress up to this point doesn't matter. My progress up to this point is all lost. No one will love me anymore. No, all of those things are not true. You have got to see the truth. You've got to state the truth. And you've got to believe the truth. And then you keep moving forward. So self-deception, when it comes to slips and relapses, really revolves around own what you're supposed to own, but don't take on stuff that's not true or you're not supposed to take on. The reality is our sins, our slips, our relapses do not define us.
Did you hear that? Huge stuff, guys. Watch this a second time if you need to. You're not defined by your sin. You're a child of God and he loves you. We'll talk more tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.